Welcome back, everybody, to my Walt Disney Classics 40th Anniversary Edition special, in which we're going to play another CD-ROM game, and it's the 1995 PC version of Jeopardy! Time to put our knowledge to the test yet again. I'm ready to have a great game here.
Welcome to Jeopardy! Let's begin our game.
I'm ready. Use the enter key to buzz in. Beanie. And a beanie. Here we go. I'm ready.
Hi, I'm Sandra Hart. I'm a practicing psychiatrist, and I also teach neural anatomy at a medical school. During my vacation...
Hello, my name is Carmen Lopez. I write movie scripts. And to tell the truth, I spend most of my free time in front of the TV.
Now for the Jeopardy round, in which one daily double
National
will
anthems
appear somewhere on the
by
board.
George.
Here are the categories.
Biblical tools. The 1990s. Word origins, and we'll close it out with potpourri. All right.
Good luck. Contestant number 1, we'll start with you.
Biblical tools 100.
The answer is...
Isaiah chapter 2 verse 4 talks about beating swords into these.
Contestant number 3.
What are rakes?
Sorry.
No.
Contestant number 2.
Hose? What?
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else?
That's wrong. I don't know. Plowshares.
Contestant number 1.
In the King James version of 2 Samuel, this tooth tool is used as a torture device.
Contestant...
A saw, yeah. Oh, I hit the space bar, not the enter key. My bad.
You are... Contestant number 2.
It's okay. In Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 29, God asks, "Is not my word like one of these that bequeath the rock in pieces?" No.
Sorry, that's incorrect.
Oh, Alex, sorry.
Contestant number 2.
A hammer. Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 2.
To put this tool to the corn means to reap the grain.
Contestant number 3.
Rake? No.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong. Contestant number 2.
Fork? No.
Incorrect.
I don't know, so I'm not going to try. The sickle.
Contestant number 2.
What were called ox goads in biblical times are commonly called these today, and they're electric.
Contestant number...
No.
Sorry, incorrect.
Not branding irons.
Contestant number 2.
Cattle prods.
Yes. Select. Contestant number 2.
1990s. Okay. Let's try that.
The answer
In a September 1992 referendum, this country said "we" to the Maastricht Treaty by a tiny majority.
Contestant number 1.
What is France?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
1990 is 200. In the fall of 1992, this automaker started issuing MasterCards.
Contestant number 2.
General Motors?
You are
Makes
correct.
sense.
Contestant number 2.
Hurricane Iniki destroyed an estimated 1/3 of the homes on this Hawaiian island.
Contestant number 3.
Kauai? Yep.
Yes. Contestant number 3.
Daily double.
The clue? It's the Daily Double.
Risk up to 500. She's going to do 400. The value of the clue. All right, on the board. Here we go. We want to know, Abimael Guzman, leader of this country's Shining Path guerrillas, was captured in 1992. Peru? Yep.
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
After this man resigned as baseball commissioner, Bud Selig took over the job temporarily.
Contestant number 3.
Nope.
Sorry, incorrect. Contestant number 2.
Francis Faye Vincent?
Yes. That's contestant number 2.
This device mounted on the stern of a ship to direct it is from rother, meaning steering oar.
Contestant number 1.
What is a compass?
Incorrect.
No.
Contestant number 2.
Rudder? Okay.
Yes. Contestant number 2.
Try another one. This sauce made of basil, pine nuts, olive oil, etc. comes from Italian pestare, to pound.
Contestant number 1.
What is pesto sauce?
Yes. That's contestant number 1.
Meaning to burn with hot liquid or steam. This word comes from calidus, Latin for warm.
Contestant number 2.
Is it...
Sorry, incorrect.
Nope, not cauldron.
Anyone else? Contestant number 3.
Scald. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 3.
This term for a loan shark comes from Shakespeare's play The Merchant of Venice.
Contestant number 3.
Sherlock? No.
Sorry, that's incorrect. Contestant number 1.
How about what is Shylock?
Yes,
There we go.
that's correct. Contestant number 1.
The shoulder ornament found on a military uniform, its name comes from French for shoulder.
Contestant number 2.
No way.
Sorry.
Oops.
Contestant number 3.
Epaulette? Epaulette? Yeah. Very good.
Correct. Contestant number 3.
Potpourri, okay. In 445, this Hun murdered his brother Bleda.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Attila?
You are correct. Contestant number 1. The answer there is...
The first Saturday in May brings Old Dover Days to this state.
Contestant number 1.
What is Delaware?
Yes. Select again. Contestant number 1.
Leo McCarey won Oscars for writing and directing this 1994 Bing Crosby film.
Contestant number 1.
What is... What is Road to Zanzibar?
Sorry.
No.
That's incorrect.
It's not right.
Contestant number 3.
Going My Way, of course.
You are contestant number 3.
Nickname of Robert Moses Grove, who pitched for the Athletics and Red Sox.
Contestant number 2.
Is it Lefty? I think so.
You are correct.
Yep.
Contestant number 2.
The Old Man of the Mountain in New Hampshire is a natural formation of this stone.
Contestant number 2.
Granite, I knew that one.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 2.
Okay. Try national anthems. A new second stanza of this British anthem was adopted in 1946.
Contestant number 1.
What is God Save the Queen? Or God Save the King, they'll take that too.
Yes, select. Contestant number 1.
Die Stem van Zuid-Afrika is this nation's anthem.
Contestant number 1.
What is South Africa?
You are. Contestant number 1.
Sri Lanka Mata Lincoln Sri Lanka to this relative.
Contestant number 1.
Who is the mother?
You are. Contestant number 1. The answer is...
You might hear its anthem, God Save Our Sultan Said, and its capital, Muscat. God Save Our Sultan said.
Contestant number...
What is Oman?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
King Christian stood by the lofty mast in the anthem of this country that's had 10 King Christians.
Contestant number 3.
Denmark?
You are correct.
Yep.
Contestant number 3.
Legend says he admitted, I can't tell a lie, Pa. I did cut it with my hatchet.
Contestant number 1.
Who was George Washington?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Tarzan-like cartoon character show theme and song ended with, Watch out for that tree!
Contestant...
Who is George of the Jungle?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1.
This choreographer's book 101 Stories of the Great Ballet has included many of his own ballets.
Contestant number 1.
Who is George M. Cohan?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
That's wrong. Contestant number 3.
Such a roll, too. George Balanchine? I think so.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 3.
Comic who asks, do you ever get the feeling the whole world is a tuxedo and you're a pair of brown shoes?
Contestant number 1.
Who is George Burns?
Sorry, incorrect.
No.
Anyone else?
Not George Burns.
Contestant number 3.
I just said that!
No, I'm afraid that is not correct.
I just said George Burns, silly.
Contestant number 2.
George Carlin? No. George Goebel.
Oh, sorry. That's not right. Contestant number 3. Here is the clue.
He won a 1980 Grammy for Best Male Country Vocal Performance for He Stopped Loving Her Today.
Contestant number 3.
Campbell?
Oh, sorry. That's not right. Contestant number 2.
George Jones, I think so.
You are correct.
Double Jeopardy, and I'm in second place.
Now for the Double Jeopardy round, with 2
Word
daily
origins,
doubles somewhere
again.
on the board in
Historic
these
names.
categories.
Cats. Authors and their characters. Potpourri, again. Famous bakers, so no geography categories, unfortunately.
Good luck. We'll begin the game with contestant number 3. The answer is
The name of this equine theme park ride came from a game that involved throwing clay balls.
Contestant,
What is a merry-go-round?
you are correct.
Carousel, yep.
Contestant number one,
It's the ability to make lucky discoveries by accident, named for the fairy tale The Three Princes of Serendip. Serendipity,
yes,
yeah.
that's correct. Contestant number three,
This hyphenated synonym for snobby may come from hoit, an obsolete verb meaning to romp around noisily.
contestant number two,
Hoity-toity?
you are correct. Contestant number two,
Kielbasa comes from this language, which you'll know if you know what kind of sausage it is.
contestant number two,
Polish? I think so.
yes, that's correct. Contestant number two,
The Russian wolfhound is known for its swiftness, and its other name, is Russian for swift.
contestant number one,
What is, Borzoi?
yes,
Borzoi, yeah,
that's
we'll take
correct. Contestant number one,
it. Authors and their characters 200. He said the boy he based Huck Finn on grew up to become a justice of the peace in Montana.
contestant number one,
Who is Mark Twain?
yes, that's correct. Contestant number one,
1936, she compared her suffering after publication to Scarlet's during the Siege of Atlanta.
contestant number one,
Who is Margaret Mitchell?
you are correct. Contestant number one,
He must have liked little characters. He created Little Emily, Little Nell, and Tiny Tim.
contestant number one,
Who's Charles Dickens?
you are correct. Contestant number one,
This author had worked with migrant laborers, so he could empathize with the Joad family he invented.
contestant number two,
Not Bruce Aris. Nope, not Bruce Aris. Whatever.
sorry, incorrect. Anyone else? Contestant number one,
Who was John Steinbeck?
you are.
Prince of Rap.
Contestant number one,
Louisa May Alcott had this many sisters, and so did her alter ego Joe, in Little Women.
contestant number one,
What is 4?
I'm sorry.
No.
That's contestant.
2? No. Not 2.
Sorry. Contestant number three,
3.
yes, that's correct. Contestant number three,
Alright. It's an inflammation of the voice box that may cause loss of speech.
contestant number one,
What is laryngitis?
yes, that's correct. Contestant number one,
Wisconsin state animal is this member of the weasel family?
contestant number,
What's a badger?
yes, contestant number one,
This South Texas ranch developed the first new breed of beef cattle in the U.S., the Santa Gertrudis.
contestant number one,
What is Cadillac Ranch?
sorry, incorrect.
Fudgesicle.
Contestant number two,
The King Ranch? Okay.
correct. Contestant number two,
This product's Mean Joe Green commercial won 2 1980 Clio Awards.
contestant number three,
Coca-Cola?
you
Yep.
are correct. Contestant number three,
It won the first color. It was the first color film to win a Best Picture Oscar, and fittingly, it had a scarlet heroine.
contestant,
What is Gone with the Wind?
yes, that's correct. Contestant number one,
The face of the peak-head Persian cat resembles that of this dog.
contestant number one,
What is a Pekingese.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1.
Striped and blotched coat is popularly known as tiger, but it's properly called this.
Contestant.
What is a tabby?
Yes,
Yep, and
that's
I have
correct.
one.
Contestant number 1.
The Tonkinese is a hybrid of this Burma and of this Burmese and this other Asian cat.
Contestant number 1.
What is a Siamese?
You are correct. Contestant number 1. It's the Daily Double.
I'm going to try to pull ahead a little bit.
Contestant number 1. What would you like to wager?
The first important long-haired breed in Europe was this one from the present Turkish capital. What is the Angora? Come on, baby.
Yes.
Yes!
Contestant number 1.
A variation of this tailless cat is the Simric.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Manx? Yeah!
You are. Contestant number 1.
Look up this name in the Encyclopedia Britannica and it says C. Monroe, Maryland.
Contestant number 3.
Josephine? No.
No, I'm afraid that is not. Contestant number 1.
What is Norma Jean?
You are
Norma
correct.
Jean Baker.
Contestant number 1.
Collections of his New York Times columns include All Things Considered and So This Is Depravity.
Contestant number 3.
Russell Baker?
Yes. Contestant number.
Gotta wager 1,000. Okay. This wife of Henry VIII had several children, but only Mary Tudor survived infancy. Catherine of Aragon?
You are
Yep.
correct. Contestant number 3.
She's credited with introducing Le Jazz Hot to France.
Contestant.
No.
I'm sorry. That's wrong. Contestant number 2.
Josephine Baker? Yep. Very good.
Right. Contestant number 2.
Destiny of the Mother Church by Bliss Knapp, a controversial work about this woman, was published in 1991.
Contestant number 3.
No.
Wrong. Contestant number 2.
Mary Baker Eddy? I think so.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 2.
From February 1987 to July 1988, he was White House Chief of Staff.
Contestant number 3.
Henry Baker?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
That's wrong. Contestant number 2.
Howard Baker.
You are correct. Contestant number
Historic
2.
names left. Much of this Babylonian's famous code resembles earlier Sumerian ones.
Contestant number 1.
Who was Hammurabi?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1.
Cosimo I was the first member of this famed Florentine family to be Grand Duke of Tuscany.
Contestant number 1.
Who were the Medicis?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
In 217 Caracalla, ruler of this empire, was murdered by Macrinus, one of his officers.
Contestant number 3.
Rome? I think so. Yep.
You are. Contestant number 3.
Last clue. About 1860, this Frenchman discovered that fermentation is caused by microorganisms.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Louis Pasteur?
You are correct. The final Jeopardy
These are the
category
words.
is contestant number 1. What would you like to wager?
$2,599, please.
The final Jeopardy clue is
30 seconds. Here we go.
Contestant number 3, your final Jeopardy response was correct. Let's see what contestant number 3
So
wagered.
I'm going to end up with $15,199, and I'll see you all for another game.
Your total? Contestant number 2, your final Jeopardy response was, you are correct. Let's see what contestant number 2 wagered. Your total? Contestant number 1, your final Jeopardy response was, right. Let's see what contestant number 1 wagered. Your total? Contestant number 1, you are now the reigning Jeopardy champion. Congratulations.